Okay, for these next three examples, I do one of inverse, one of the converse, and one of the contrapositive. And this first one says, write the converse for the given statement. And if you forget what the converse is, you can, and did I close it out? No, I didn't. The converse right here, very first one. The converse is when you switch the Q and the P. You switch what you have. So it says, if my report is well written, remember you've got a, let's see, you're doing a converse of an if-then statement. And I've got if my report was well written, that's your P, then my report got an A. Well, the converse has you switch these two. So it's still going to be an if-then statement. And when I look at my, choices, this one is if-then, if-then, if-then. B has the word or in it. It doesn't have an if-then in there at all, so it's not B. And then all you have to do is put where the pink is, my report was well written. That should go after the then. And A says my report was not well written. D says my report was well written. And C says my report did not get an A. That isn't even the pink stuff, that's the green stuff. So, and just to finish it out for you, you put the P where the Q is and then the Q where the P is. The Q is my report got an A, and that's what they're showing right here. My report got an A. If my report got an A, then my report was well written. So your answer is D. Probably should do that in black. D. D is the correct answer. All right, next one. This one wants the inverse. Okay, the inverse. And again, if you forget what inverse is, go back to here. And the inverse is right here. It says, if negation of P, then negation of Q. So you don't switch. You don't switch the P or the Q. And once again, we have if and then. And our, she's purple this time. Our Q, or our P is, the ball does not bounce. All of that is your P. And then over here you have, the ball is orange. That is my Q. So for the inverse, to do the inverse, you are going to simply negate them both. Okay, I'm sorry. I just jacked up my screen. There we go. We're back. You're simply going to negate them both. They're not going to switch places. So you're still going to have an if-then statement, and B has an if and a then, C has an if and a then, D has an if and a then, A has an or, so that's out. And then your purple stuff is still going to be in front. It's going to say the ball does not bounce, except we're going to negate it. And if you negate it, you would say the ball does bounce, or the ball bounces, which that's what this one says, the ball bounces. So it's got to be that one. And then the other one, the ball is orange, you're going to insert a not here. The ball is not orange. So it's C. Okay, so just to keep the colors going, This would still be the purple, except it is negated. And this is the green, and it's also negated. I put the word not in there. So, and then the next one is an example of a contrapositive. Okay, now in a contrapositive, you do both. So if you go back and look at this again, at the very bottom, contrapositive says, if negation of Q, then negation of P, which means it's doing both the converse and the inverse at the same time. So you have to switch them and negate them. Okay, so once again, if you vacuum the rug, then you play video games. So if you vacuum the rug, that is your P. And then you play video games, that is your Q. Now you have to switch P and Q. All right, so you're going to switch these two. But at the same time, you're going to have to negate them. So saying you vacuumed the rug, you'd say something like you did not vacuum the rug. And you can play video games, you cannot play video games. Something to that effect. Now when I look at all my choices, they're all if-then statements. But remember, you have to put the purple first. So you have to put the you cannot play video games. If you cannot play video games, you cannot play video games. Okay, both of these say you cannot play video games. This one just says can, and then this one talks about vacuuming. So it's not A or B. And then the pink is you did not vacuum the rug. Then you did not vacuum the rug right there. And again, they're still if-then statements. So my answer on this is D. And those are examples of those three types of problems.